has cursed you is the Lamia,
the most feared of all demons.
For the first 3 days, the spirit torments its victims. After that, it will come to take you.
Take me where?
To burn in hell for eternity.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast That Wouldn't Die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Whoa!
Each week, we discuss guilty pleasures, forgotten classics from the horror and sci-fi genre. Good times. Today, we are setting records. This is something new. We have never had another guest on our show, like, ever. Now, granted, there hasn't been a long line of people saying, hey, put me on. Put me in, coach. Not just yet, but let me introduce our third member of our crew today, Tara.
Hello, hello.
How's it going?
Going great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course.
Absolutely. And I feel like I need to say something because we were just interviewed. And again, people think that Kevin and I are married. So I'm not Kevin's wife. Tara is not my sister wife. She
Nope.
is, in fact, merely a sister. And Kevin is our brother. And not in a biblical way or we're the last people on earth, but like in a normal family.
Siblings.
Yes.
Siblings.
Yes. Erin is my sister. And then, big surprise, Tara is also another sister.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
And
Yes.
there are multiple other siblings. I mean, there may be more than we know. Who's to say?
Oh.
Who's to say?
Yep.
Anyway, this week, we're discussing the horror classic, Drag Me to Hell, directed by Sam Raimi, starring Alison Lohman, Justin Long. Anybody else in this thing? And all the rest. I don't.
Ted Raimi makes a cameo. And take that question mark off the title.
Drag Me to Hell? Well, okay. Do you even see Ted Raimi in this? You hear his voice off camera or something.
He's a doctor.
But you don't really see him, do you? You see like his shoulder in the other room or something.
I don't remember.
Am I crazy?
I
Who's to
I
say?
think you are crazy.
I wouldn't know this guy if he kicked me in the butt. So
Did you
I'll take your
never
word.
watch the Xena and the legendary Hercules series back in the day?
Nope.
All right.
Neither did I.
Ted Raimi was Xena's sidekick. Sam Raimi, the director's brother. He's the Clint Howard of the crowd.
Xena, wait a minute. Xena's sidekick was that blonde chick, right? Was
Oh,
that
no,
Ted Raimi?
Hercules. Hercules. There was a dude.
Is this a Kevin Sorbo? Hercules?
Yes.
Oh,
That's what we're
sweet
talking
Lord.
about.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hard pass.
Although, yeah, the Hercules was not as good. Xena was snappy and funnier.
Because she was a warrior princess. So that's important. Okay.
That is very important.
Aaron, give us your 30 seconds. I don't even know what I'm saying. 30-second synopsis of Drag Me to Hell, please.
Is that many strokes or what?
It
is
could
that?
be.
It boils down to this: don't fuck with the gypsies. And
Don't do it.
I think just saying gypsies instead of calling them, what is it, the Roma, is
Yep.
probably getting a curse. So basically, you mess with the gypsies, you're going to get it. And I have this whole theory about the Alison Lohman character actually being a bad person who had to leave where she was originally from and put on this whole new persona to disguise the fact that she was actually a wicked bad person. But anyway, people F with gypsies, then they feel sad and they try to get the curse off of them. No. Cut to modern day, someone else messes with a gypsy. And, oh, can't you grant me the loan? No, I'm going to... Stop making me laugh. I'm going to pull up my big girl. I'm a boss lady, and I'm going to turn down this old lady's extension on her loan so all the men in my office will respect me. That's what you get. You F with the gypsy, and mayhem ensues. And guess what? Oh, she gets dragged to hell.
Spoiler alert.
That's what you get.
I guess they wouldn't call it Drag Me to Hell if there's no Hell Dragon. right?
Well,
There's got to be
the-
some kind of hell dragon.
There really wasn't Hell Dragon. I feel like
Twice.
the title is a lie. It was supposed to originally be called The Curse. That was the original title, was The Curse, and they should have stuck with that because there is no dragon to hell.
What are you
It's kind of
talking
like-
about? What
Nah.
are you talking about? A kid gets dragged to hell at the beginning. and
No
the
one's
kid gets
dragging.
dragged.
They're thrown in a pit and covered up with gravel.
There's
That's not
a hand
dragging.
that came up and sucked them down.
Nah.
Not
You
literal
say
enough.
potato, I say potato.
So, when was the first time you guys had ever seen this movie, Aaron? Do you remember?
Oh, boom! Opening weekend. Sam
Shut-
Brady.
Are you serious?
Hell, fuck yeah! hell yes! I called up Heather B. I said, Heather, we're going to the Maya Cinema with our reclining chairs, and we're gonna see Drag Me to Hell.
What about you, Tara?
Oh no, I saw it less than 24 hours ago for the first time, and I wish I had that 94 minutes back.
Oh, well, the one thing about horror movies, whether you love them or hate them, they're about 90 minutes.
Yeah,
True.
that's what we're doing. I saw it. I did not see it in the theater. It passed me by. It was probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. I finally saw it and hadn't seen it since until this lovely viewing. Let me tell you, good times. Shall we just jump right in
Let's jump.
to the highlights? Aaron, why don't you start us off? What is one crazy observation you noticed from this movie?
So, I'm all about the non sequitur. So, did I tell you that, in fact, a gypsy put a curse on me when I was in Rome?
Not a surprise.
She came up with her hand out, wanting some moolah, and I'm like, "Excuse, no scuse," or something.
No scusi?
No scusi, or some other bullshit that I just say to anyone who approaches me when I'm in another country.
Interesting.
And she walked behind me and she was like pointing her fingers like this and muttering. And my boyfriend at the time came up to me, "She put a curse on you." I was like, "What?
The evil eye.
Dude, it doesn't count if I don't know."
Well, consider yourself lucky, I think is the rule of thumb. So, okay.
Because I'm not in hell yet.
Yet, and I stress yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
So-
mean, I don't know. I don't know what movie y'all saw, but I thought this was bang. It
Okay.
opened up with children crying. They stole a necklace from a gypsy. You got the Yama or the llamas coming to get them. And it's
Wait,
that
it's
same
not-
old...
It was neither a llama or a llama.
Was
Neither
it
of those.
Yamaka?
It was called a lamia.
Whatever.
Like, not a
As
llama.
Tara says, you say potato, I say Yama.
You say llama, I say ding dong.
I say Yamaka.
Llama. How about a little something for the effort, llama? Can we talk about the huge gypsy population found in Pasadena? Is this something I'm unaware of?
Who knew? Who knew?
Not
They were
I.
our cousins. We got to call our cousins up. They live like in Glendale. Is there a big problem with the Roma?
Could be. So what was your observation? You just didn't have one, or you're just? I know, this is your life. We're talking
All right.
about this movie.
Oh my God! One of the nastiest parts is when that old gypsy woman goes into the bank and to talk about her extension, she's got she's hacking up her TB into some lace doily, and then the next thing you know, she's popping her teeth out. Even her false teeth are like crooked and brown and cracked and
That's
wrong.
extra. More
Oh.
authentic for the Roma.
They got it off of Wish, I think. Fantastic.
They put a lot of extra like lip smacking sounds whenever she,
Sound effects, oh plenty.
it was
Yes.
It was-
Slurping and retching, the
Oh.
coughing, all of it was amplified. Which brings me to my point
Hit us.
that this whole damn movie is about oral fixation. It's
Absolutely.
all a huge oral fixation, from the pork queen princess and her issues with food, to vomiting, to formaldehyde dumping out of from my mouth to yours. It was just nothing but a oral fixation, a mouth fetish. It was wretched from the get-go.
I always used to say you can't have a Sam Raimi movie without something flying out into your mouth.
Yes.
Evil Dead 2, all of the Army of Darkness, there's something flying into someone's mouth at some point.
Absolutely. They must have hit that drum about 5 times in this movie, where there's the gypsy woman's puking in her mouth, and there's maggots going in her mouth, and there's a lot of
getting stabbed in the mouth, hands going in the mouth,
Yeah.
Cats coming
slurping
out
on my chin,
Oh.
I mean, nonstop. Let me put my mouth somewhere near your mouth, and things are happening in our mouths.
It was a nonstop glop fest. It was.
I mean, it should be like a trigger warning for anybody with an eating disorder. Do not watch Drag Me to Hell. It will set you back years of your therapy.
You're just like, I'm just not going to eat anything again. Oh, I guess it depends on which disorder you're working on.
Oh, either one.
Maybe for dieting.
Oh, when that kitten came out at the end of the mouth.
Yes.
It just was very, very horrible.
Yes, it is. Whole movie is a vehicle for some kind of mouth vomit things going. I mean, very upsetting. Very upsetting to say the least. Aaron, what you got?
What else did I put down? How about the floating scarf everywhere? The nasty floating scarf, and then this is all very Sam Raimi. That it's working its way in. It's jumped on her face. She throws it. It bounces back up. It was like very Evil Dead. It bounces back into her face. I really like that, actually.
And it always reminded me of Mom and her handkerchief.
Oh, no.
Women of a certain age start carrying around an old hanky in their sleeve or in their purse that they always want to, you got to sniffle, you got to cough. Let me give you my wretched, phlegmy, Drag Me to Hell lace hanky to kind of help you out there.
Let me lick it, and then you got a little schmutz on your face.
100%. 100%. Yes.
It's as hard as a rock. Oh, yeah.
I have nightmares about that rag. I'm not even kidding. Because you're absolutely right. It was women of a certain age carried and they were washing it. They weren't taking it home. Back in the day, okay, Cary Grant and Grace Kelly or whatever, they might have like a little hanky, but they probably had like 10 of them. 10 of them monogrammed. And if one was befouled in some way, they'd get rid of it. They'd get rid of it.
Wash it.
If push comes to shove, they're washing it, right? They don't shove it. Cary Grant's not shoving his old Uzi rag back into his jacket.
His square is really just an old nasty gypsy hanky.
That's
with
what
a
I'm saying.
big booger on it. I thought at first you were comparing our parents to Cary Grant, and
It's an apt comparison. Well, at least the old hankies, for God's sake. Well, Mom, since we're going down memory lane here, Mom would have old just tissues shoved in there, hard as a rock. Why are we storing these? Why do we have 10 rotten old tissues? Are these family heirlooms? I mean,
and cough drops that were sticky with like hairs on them with lint from your pocket.
Oh,
Give them to the kids.
People are turning the channel right now. Listening to this.
It was
This is becoming
truly
a Sam Raimi movie right now.
Oh, sweet Jesus. I liked how they were in the car she was fighting the gypsy woman off. And again, we have to say, gypsy is actually not an acceptable term nowadays. True. Not acceptable. Although I think they use the word gypsy in this movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
So therefore, I feel exonerated. It's fine. We can hit it.
And she was spry as hell. That old half-dead gypsy.
With her tuberculosis, she was never winded during the fighting. She was like a ninja.
Yeah. Yeah.
She had a crazy David Bowie eyeball staring at you. She had jagged old teeth. Again, jagged teeth on her dentures. They're false teeth, but they're jagged.
You gotta pay
Yes.
extra. It's like a girl.
And decayed. How are fake teeth full of cavities?
You gotta
That's what I'm
pay
saying. That would
extra.
be extra. Yeah.
Maybe they made dentures out of her old teeth that had fallen out.
That's entirely possible. That is entirely possible. She's attacked by the gypsy woman in the car, and she's got like office supplies, thankfully, and she kind of whacks her with the staple
Oh, one of my best scenes is coming up right now.
and staples her eyelid shut. Her old
So
Uzi,
dumb.
David Bowie, albino eye.
It made the gypsy so angry.
Very
Yes, it
upsetting.
did.
But the best part is right after that. So now they're fighting in the car, and now she's got her foot on the accelerator, and she runs into another car, and the staple flies out
Yes.
across the room.
Yes. Yes.
Sweet Jesus.
That
And
was
then she
beautiful.
impales her mouth with the gypsy's mouth. Like she picks up the gear shift and smashes it into her open mouth.
Yes.
She just coughed
Once
right
again.
back out. Tuh.
Yeah. Yeah. Then she gunned it into something else and that went flying somewhere.
Mhm.
It's so bizarre. What was the fascination with kind of oral? Sweet Jesus.
She was sucking on the chin the
That-
way if you
that
had a
almost made
little
me yak.
baby. It reminded
Yes.
me of like when you had a little baby. They're always like, "Well, my son used to like bite my chin," you know.
And that's when the dentures were out of her mouth. So it was a sucking,
It was a-
gumming of her chin.
Like a
It was
lamprey.
so. Oof.
That's true.
It was
Yeah.
just anything pretty much involving the gypsy is you're set for a little nausea.
Oh,
I just didn't understand for the old gypsy's sake. And, clearly she's got limited time on the clock. Why she just didn't, go through a charade of saying, "Oh, I like your coat," and just pop a button off, give her the curse and do it. Why, go through living hell and be impaled and make your dentures ruined and have to lick somebody's chin? Go through all that hellation when all you do is grab a button and put a curse.
So
What do you mean by have to lick? Maybe that was what she was looking
That part got a little quasi-sexual. It was kind of gross.
kind of, yes.
That's what it was.
She got a little fired up.
And I guess you're absolutely right. The whole car battle that was going on, it was just kind of a ruse to get a button. Because I guess to do the curse, you have to get something that belongs to the person and then curse it and give it back to them. Basically, right?
They were kicking her out of the bank and she was reaching. She was trying to get her coat. She was trying to get something then.
Oh, okay. I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah.
Right.
This is my third viewing.
Right.
Oh, God.
So, okay. So she's about to be evicted because she had health issues, including just a rancid dead eye. And therefore wasn't keeping up with her payments. And she could have gotten an extension, but Allison Lohman is trying to be the next assistant manager. Is that what it is?
Yeah, for a bunch of assholes. I mean, it's like a terrible place. So you're really going to sell your soul to work at this shitty place where you have an
She's a loan officer.
Right,
So,
there's an asshole boss and an asshole coworker. Go find another bank. There's 10,000 banks in LA.
I mean, and that's the other question. So the coworker who's also up for the job, who's the new guy. I love how the new guy is also up for assistant manager.
and he
he's a
hasn't
man.
even been trained.
Right,
Doesn't
he's a
doesn't
man.
doesn't know how to do anything, but is on equal footing with her. She's been there for 10 years.
Uh-huh.
That's an indictment on your loan skills at the very least. But anywho, but so he is so unscrupulous. It's like, how important is this job that you're like, I'm going to take the file to the neighboring bank? This is not like industrial espionage or something. You're not getting a job. I'm going to be the president of Microsoft.
Yeah, it's not Wall Street. It's
Yeah.
like Glendale Pacific Bank and Loan or something.
Right. I mean, at one point, while in the throes of the curse, she has a nosebleed and just sprays blood all over her boss. Just douses him in blood. Stu.
Pure SNL. Total SNL ripoff
It's a-
with Julia Childs just spewing
Absolutely.
blood.
Right. Spray.
And no one cares. No one's like, are you okay? You know, just blood is everywhere. And they're like pissed that she's leaving. And she doesn't even seek medical attention.
Right. They're pissed at her for bleeding to death. It's
How
like,
dare you?
No, the best is the boss. At least 100 times he utters, "Did I get any in my mouth? Did I get any in my
Again.
mouth?"
took it
Again.
right in the face again.
Yeah.
Took it right in the face. And then this happens in front of Stu. Stu is so unbothered, he grabs the file. Like he's like, ooh, now I can strike, even though there's like death occurring in front of me. Sweet Jesus.
How about the fly up her nose, where it crawls up her
Oh.
nose and comes out the other side? That was a good
And then goes in her mouth.
yeah.
And then
Crawls
she
in
has
her
a
mouth.
fly buzzing in her tummy. Oh, bzzz. Oh my, what's that?
So here's my question. Were we supposed to think that Justin Long was a good boyfriend?
He's a shitty boyfriend. He never listened to her. He patronized her. No, he was not a good boyfriend.
Because it's like, he wasn't like horrendous though. It's like kind of that weird middle ground where it's like either best boyfriend in the world is over here, you know, horror, like Ike Turner's your boyfriend is over here. And he was just kind of like,
You don't know
Consistent.
why they're together other than he's attractive and she's attractive. Because he really seems to really give a F about what she thinks or what's
Yeah, he's inconsistent. At one moment it's like, okay, you know, he's all over, you know, and I'm really into you. Then after the fight at the parents' house and the mom says don't go after her, he doesn't. He doesn't go after her. You know what I mean? And then the next day he's got an engagement ring in his pocket and he's just all over the map. I found his character very unnecessary
yeah.
to the whole show.
He had
Yeah, I
some
mean,
nothing.
the fact that they made a point of showing that he's a psychiatrist, you know, at the beginnings, you know, it's like they set it up like he's going to be important. And in my opinion, he brought nothing to the table.
No, because he doesn't help her really in any way. He writes a check to the psychic. I think that's all he does.
And I almost felt like he was bullshitting her.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was going to be like he just said to her, oh, I paid for it to try to make her think that the curse would now be lifted. Like it was some, you know, psychological hint of suggestion, you know. But when he takes her to the seance in Glendale or Pasadena or wherever it is, and he's like, should I go in? She's like, no, I got this. And he just screeches out the driveway. She hasn't even walked up the walk yet. And he's just like, later.
Well, she knows he's dead weight and useless at this point.
right. Well, I kept thinking he was going to dump her. Like at some crucial moment
Yeah.
when she needs him, he would just be like, I'm out. 'Cause
Yeah.
he kind of
He's like
gave off that
ambivalent.
energy.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he seemed ambivalent many times.
And he's a psychologist, right?
Right.
And yet you have a person who appears to be insane and you're doing zero to help them.
And in fact, he brings over a different psychiatrist to talk to her. Remember during her first breakdown? As opposed to him just going, look, I am an MD or whatever the hell he is. Let me talk to you.
Well, you're not supposed to treat, you're supposed to have some kind of distance between your patients. That's why you're
Yeah, I
not supposed
suppose.
to, like in Dress to Kill, you can't have sex with your therapist traditionally. I mean, I haven't read the bylaws or anything,
Is that
but I
a
think
firm rule or is that a suggestion?
more of a guideline than a rule, evidently. No, so that was a bizarre thing, but I wonder if it's like a question of if she doesn't have the boyfriend, then she really has no friends or family or anybody on her side.
She does. I think they're trying to play that up. She's new in town. She used to have a weight problem, so she has no self-esteem.
She's trying to lose her accent in the very first scene
Yeah.
by, I'm presuming, her southern drawl.
Right.
You know, she's trying to, like Aaron said in the beginning, reshape her whole persona
Right. I think
because she was the pork queen. And apparently that's very shameful.
she said that she had just moved from Bakersfield, I believe. if
I believe she recently was, she grew up at Motel Hell. So
that is true.
Now that'd be something I'd go see.
No, but she was not new in town. She'd been working at that branch for a long time. That's why she was up for assistant manager.
Then what the hell? See, that's inconsistent.
Well, and that's, I mean, was she just kind of an interesting person? Is that she didn't have friends lining up to hang out with her?
She's not an interesting person. Two,
She is
there's
not.
no way she could afford that house. They try to make it look like it's run down. It's a view of the downtown skyline of Los Angeles. Hells no, you're not living there.
Right.
And I hate when they have LA and Pasadena like their sister cities.
Right.
Right.
It's just down the hill. I'll just walk there.
Exactly. You just walk there. It is how we do it.
And I think we're skimming over the first scene
Go for
where
it.
a poor little Hispanic kiddo who stole some sterling silver crap gets condemned to hell for all eternity. I mean, how awful. I mean, definitely raging against the evilness of the gypsies.
Well-
He tried to give it back, and they're like, no, 7-year-old. To hell you will go for all eternity. And we're going to bitch slap everybody within a 30-mile radius while we're at it.
Well,
That is true.
it's a lesson for the kids.
You got to teach them.
You gotta teach them. There was Krampus, and now there's the Yama.
Well, yeah, I think there's a lot of Krampus in this Lampus, or whatever the hell they're calling it.
That's
Yes.
part 2. Sam Rainey, are you listening to us? The Krampus meets the Lampus.
Yes.
Well, okay. You're absolutely right. It's like, what was it? It was a young, like, Mexican couple and their child, their 7-year-old child, and the child did some pickpocketing at the county fair. Or where the hell are these gypsies? Right? Where's the gypsy encampment?
I guess
In the
they're
greater
in North
Pasadena area.
Hollywood, right? So isn't that the lesser Pasadena? They're up there with our cousins up in
It's
North
not near
Hollywood.
North Hollywood.
It is near North Hollywood, I believe. It's absolutely correct. But luckily, there's like the seer or whatever she is, like the woman who lives in the mansion, like a mansion.
Right.
Yes.
Okay,
But
gigantic-
can't seem to do shit, so I don't know how she got a mansion.
Right. I mean, and that's like, who's writing them checks that you can like have
Well,
this mansion?
there was some brief discussion that her husband was someone, and he built the whole mansion because of the energy, the
Right.
converging energy at this particular. So her hubby, who I don't know, apparently is now been dragged to hell because he's not in the movie, he's not around.
Cartel.
But there was
Cartel.
some alluding to that.
Yes, I think that's true. Okay, but again, so sweet Jesus. So later in the movie, she's cursed. She's been given the evil eye, and she goes to a freaking like palm reader or a tarot card, like another
I went
psychic.
to one of those in Pismo Beach, and they didn't tell me about the Yama.
Yeah. The spiritualist or whoever, who was
Those
very
are
happy to
called.
see the Platinum American Express card.
Very
He's
impressed.
like, oh, Platinum American Express.
Well, apparently
Very
Allison
nice.
Lohman was too. Whoop whoop.
That's
That's why.
well, and the good thing is that he is also actually a psychic, not a charlatan. Like everybody in
Yes.
this, everybody who has any kind of claims to have psychic powers, they really do. I really am a medium. I really am psychic. I can really do these things.
I
Thank
really
goodness.
am cursed. It's where everybody tells you the truth.
Thank goodness for that, at least.
Now that
And
guy, the psychic, was kind of hot. Where do I know him from, Kevin?
I remember seeing him. He was in the Inception. Did you ever see Inception?
Maybe. Who can remember?
Who can remember?
He was actually one of the very few decent actors. And I
Oh.
say few decent actors. You know what I'm saying? He brought some
God.
sort of
I don't even know what's happening.
energy to, because the lead actress, bless her heart, she was in White Oleander, wasn't she?
Absolutely, and I'm going to blow your mind in a little bit.
Oh,
Wait
no.
for
Okay.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah, she's just kind of a boring little gal, bless her heart.
She did.
She doesn't have a lot of screen presence, in my opinion.
The best thing she does is when they go to the parents' house for the dinner and they mention that she used to have a cat. He's like, no, you still have a cat. And she does this crazy look to the camera. I was laughing.
Well, because she killed the cat.
She terrifies him, and she's breaking the wall. She's like, she stops and kind of turns and looks directly at the camera.
Are you saying she pulled a Mr. Furley? Or not Mr. Furley, Mr. Roper.
It's a Mr. Roper, and I laughed and
She
I
didn't
laughed.
break the fifth wall. No.
You don't know. She certainly did. Actually, there needed to be more of that, because this is kind of a comedy. It's a comedy horror film.
Which I didn't laugh once.
Oh my God, I was screaming like a maniac when I saw this in the theater.
Were you? Ah.
I think we're supposed to laugh when gross things happen.
Because they're just so over the top and outrageous.
Right.
That's my thought.
It's not like they're telling jokes. It's just kind of like, that's disgusting. I must laugh.
Yeah.
That's what they're hoping for.
This is how I was laughing. Ah! Oh my God! It's like that kind of a laugh.
Wait. Can you do that one more time? I'm not sure I got it. So there's a scene that I love where she is like in her attic being attacked by the gypsy woman again. And she looks up and there's an anvil hanging from a rope. Because that's what people have. I'm going to hang my anvil from a rope in my attic. What, do you do a lot of blacksmithing up there?
All I kept thinking was beep beep.
Right. So she cuts she cuts the rope, the anvil crushes on her head, and of course, glop sprays all over Alison Lohman's face.
Close your mouth around the gypsy. Someone's getting in there.
Something, you better believe, some sort of ooze is going right in your mouth in every damn scene. How did they get her to be in this movie? You think you'd be reading the script going, so I get hit in the mouth again with some other glop?
She says Sam Raimi wants to be in a movie and there's a lot of money attached to this. This is going to make me famous.
That's what it is. Because you're right. It's like, can we talk about the script? I see in Act 5, I get hit once again with a barrel of glue and gravy. Is that we're doing that again?
Gravy and glue.
And I have to say something for the gypsies, or I don't know the correct term. I once knew it. Never once, because there's a lot of them in Italy, and I used to see them all the time. Never once did they ever try to put anything from their mouth into my mouth that I know of.
But they may have tried. You're saying they didn't hit you with glop right in the face. Why, when you were walking by?
To my knowledge, it never happened.
Well, that's good to know.
That's a relief.
Thank goodness for that, if nothing else. Now, there's the scene at the end of the movie, because she thinks that she's.
Wait a minute! I got it. Are we jumping around?
I think we're jumping around. If you want to jump in, go for it, Aaron.
All right, so we're at the parents' house, and we're eating the harvest cake, and of course we got some Evil Dead classic where there's an eyeball and antennas and God knows what else.
I like the eyeball.
Yeah, winking at you. That was cracking me up. And then of course, all of a sudden she hacks up a horsefly that then starts buzzing around the table.
Totally.
That gets applause from Aaron.
I was laughing so hard.
That gets a standing ovation.
And I think her boyfriend says, "Close a window" or something. like we're gonna pretend we didn't see that just fly out of her mouth. It's like, oh, I think there's a window open. It's like, okay, thanks, honey.
No.
And the mom treats her like shit until she says, "Oh yeah, my mom's an alcoholic." Then all of a sudden she's like, "Mine too. Let's be friends."
Let's be friends.
Right, that turned the corner in their relationship until Alison Lohman has a total freak out.
For 3 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that she's like hallucinating a lot of this stuff? Because it's like one of those situations where it's like no one else can see it. You know?
Yeah.
I always. So what do you think is occurring when it's like there's an eyeball on my plate?
Well,
and then you stab it and pus comes out.
I mean, it's not a hallucination because it's not just in her mind. I mean, she's being thrown. I think it's all part of this possession or whatever. So when I think of a hallucination, it's something that's not really happening. It's just happening in your brain.
Right.
But the other manifestations of this curse are clearly very physical.
But like at that dinner, that like when her fork flew away and things like nobody noticed any of that. Nobody heard anything. She was having, audio hallucinations too, because she kept saying, "Do you hear that? Do you hear that?" And everybody's like, "No, we don't."
All right, I mean, I understand that, but there's also parts where she's being thrown around the room.
No, that's true, and that's true as well. But I always wonder. Wouldn't you at some point, if you're at the table and shit's going down, but no one's reacting to it, wouldn't you be like, I'm just going to pretend that everything's cool, at least for right now. I'm not going to run around screaming, I don't know. I always wonder about that. It's like...
Or if your significant other is in the throes of a mental breakdown, you don't go, hey, let's go meet my parents. My filthy rich parents who you've overheard that they hate you. Yes. And bring a crappy harvest cake that looked like shizite, be a complete goofball. I mean, it was just, why did any of this happen? It would never happen.
Again, he's the shittiest boyfriend in the whole world.
True.
I mean, you got to put her in a position to succeed. And if it's clear she's suffering from schizophrenia, that's not the time to say, let's meet dear old mom.
Counselor is he that he can't figure out? She's like bouncing off the walls. She's being attacked by unseen spirits. He's immediately like, yeah, it is a curse. You've been possessed.
Well, he initially is like, this is all bullshit. Like when they go see
this, and then he doubles down.
Well,
let's think about it. Did he ever? Do we know that he ever saw anything?
No.
At the end, at the end, when she falls into the carry hole.
Too late. But it's
yeah. But up until then, I don't think he was ever around when anything was rocking and rolling, was he? Except at the dinner, and nobody else apparently noticed anything else at the dinner.
I don't think so. I don't think he noticed anything.
In retrospect, she should have slipped that and say, you know what? This envelope's for you.
He had the envelope.
But
I was going to write about
it to him. She didn't give it to him.
Oh, okay.
And he had to accept it.
Right.
Well, then, if you dig up somebody's corpse to defile, and you say, I give this to you, corpse, the corpse is not in a position to accept that gift.
That corpse was pretty spry. That corpse was rocking and rolling.
Still a ninja from the grave.
You can,
yeah, that was some stretch of absolutely. I did find in Jones versus the Board of Education that there is
Jones versus the Board of Education. You know it, don't you?
There is precedent that you can, in fact, send gifts to the dead.
There you go. It's an old LDS, little known thing.
Hashtag boom.
If you are a formaldehyde vomiting corpse, you cannot give it informed consent. You just cannot. I don't care what country this is.
And speaking of formaldehyde corpse, I love that at the Gypsy Wake, where people are just raging, and old Broomhilda is like full of stank and her formaldehyde on like a bench, not in a casket, just in a bench or something in the middle of the room. People are raging all around. She like pulls old corpsey on top of her, begin the vomiting of the formaldehyde into her open mouth, of course. And then the two other gypsy bros just pick up old corpsey, put her back down, and then the festivities just ensue. Nobody's like, oh, sweet Jesus, we better wipe something down. There's formaldehyde and vomit all over the place. It's just like business as usual at the Gypsy Wake.
I'm telling you, I'm going to have to lay off applesauce for a little while. But put this in my will. Mark this down. This is how I'm going. I'm going to be on a card table. It's in Tara's living room. And me and then we'll do the whole Irish thing. And if you want, throw in some of these Romanian gypsies. Why not?
Look,
Well, you've got the curse already, so we might as well go with that.
I double down.
if a little blonde woman comes in and starts molesting your corpse, I am going to step in. Okay? I don't care
I'm
what.
letting it happen. I'm letting it happen. Don't get involved in that. That's the lesson.
Once I hit 80, I'm just going to eat applesauce and start preparing.
I did read that when the vomiting of the maggots happened,
Yes.
that the maggots were actually pasta in the shape of little maggots.
I read that
Is
as
that
well.
is that a special pasta?
A special pasta sold at
Magatoni?
World Market around Halloween.
It is Magatini. I think if you,
Magatini.
Only the
That's
fox.
if you
right.
look it up, yes. That's the traditional. Yeah. Oh, sweet Jesus. And
So I decided that I think Alison Lohman deserves it. And I think she's a bad person.
She is a bad person. When she was going to give that button to the old man at Denny's who's on oxygen, and the only reason she doesn't is because the old man happens to be married. When little old lady comes up and helps him with his, Splenda or whatever he's doing, then she's like, oh, I can't damn him to hell now. It's like, this poor bastard has had like this horrific life, and now you're going to do the icing on the cake?
What
That's
she
correct.
should have
It's like
done.
find your local clan meeting and throw it at one of those little bastards.
there's a lot of those in Pasadena. Shouldn't be too difficult.
Exactly.
It's pretty white. What she should have done is done a little gargle it and say, "Hey, gypsy friends, so how do I get out of this predicament that I have put myself in?"
Wait a minute. Do a little gargling? What the hell are you talking about?
You gotta wash away the sauce.
So you're still talking about. Okay. So you're saying after you've had strange fluids thrust into your mouth the 15th time, take a minute to gargle before you make any other decisions.
I'm telling you,
I can
whatever they were
co-sign.
drinking is gonna burn away whatever just flew in your mouth.
That is true. That is true. But Tara, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think on one hand we were supposed to think, well, he's old, that he
So
has that.
old people can burn in hell.
But that's the thing. It's like you're not just killing him. You were basically saying, and then for eternity you will burn.
Exactly.
Yes, this poor old man who's suffering and has his like weekly pancakes. Let's throw him under the bus.
Aw, poor German pancakes.
Well,
And if you had like a button that was the equivalent of like Stephen King's Silver Bullet,
yes.
wouldn't you open the envelope and make sure that that's actually in there? I know I would.
I would
That
think
is true.
so.
No, that is a good. Well, she's like, oh my God, I've lost it. There are freaking 5 pieces of paper on the floor. Take a minute. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It wasn't like it fell out the window and out the Empire State Building or something. It's right freaking by your feet.
No.
Take a minute.
Even
You're-
if she wasn't secretly evil, she's too dumb to live. She's a ding dong daddy-o.
Well,
So do you think this whole, when they showed that picture of her when she was the pork queen and she was a chunky little girl, who, whatever, was
Pork queen.
4-H and raised a prize pig or whatever. And now she's like super skinny and vegetarian and I volunteer at the shelter. But she proceeds to lie over and over and over again about the loans she declined.
That's what I'm
She
saying.
continues like 3 times.
Yes.
Like,
The cock
3
crow.
times.
like the cock crow. 3 times she denies that it was her ultimate decision to do that. So she is. She's an awful person. I think you're right.
She reinvented
Terrible person.
herself as the vegan, as this. When in reality, there's a terrible backstory and she's a monster.
no.
Yep.
Okay. Well, in her defense,
Mommy drinks because you cry.
that is correct. That is correct. Now, in her defense, she calls down Stu and contemplates handing him the button, but then she realizes, he's an asshole, but he doesn't. Nobody that we've met in this movie deserves eternal hellfire and brimstone. So that's the issue. If there was some dude, there was a murderer on the loose, then it would be easy, right? I just have to give it to this jackass. But
Right.
so then it becomes that moral quandary. See, there's levels to this movie.
That's why it's important that while you're at the gypsy house, one of these knows what to do.
Well, they have to accept it though, right? Is that
No, but I'm saying, okay, I effed up 100%. What do I do to atone? She didn't even ask.
Well, I think aren't they the one who told her about giving away.
It was the seer. The seer said first, if you may be able to appease it through a blood offering, and that's when she, instead of like doing something humane to this poor kitty, if that's going to be her offering, she gets the biggest knife in the world and like totally pulls a psycho on it.
Yes.
Repeatedly stabbing this poor little thing. That's why it's like, go buy a goldfish. Like, why do you have to like stab like your like sweet little kitten 1,000 times with a butcher knife?
And obviously the gods are not appeased. I think you got to bump it up. It's not like you go step on an earthworm. The gods are appeased. I think you need to go like full-size goat or something.
A full size, not one of those pygmy
Well,
goats.
when you think of sacrifices the old days, like you think of goats and sheep. You're not thinking about, I'm going to kill your daughter's hamster or something.
Well, I don't think that traditionally.
Yeah, I just think there was yeah, she's not a good person.
Yeah, she's not a good person. She's trying to
be.
Or
any other thoughts and feelings before we move on?
I'm glad she went to hell. How about that? Too bad she didn't drag her boyfriend. What was his damn commercial that he was? Now, don't get me wrong. I liked him in
Dodgeball.
He was in He's Just Not That Into You. I thought he was cute in that.
I thought he was cute in that, but what was he famous for? Is that
it was a phone commercial, like
he's the Apple spokesperson.
Oh, is it Apple? Yeah. I can't remember.
It could be iPhones or something.
I mean, he's super douchey. Yeah, that sounds right.
Very upsetting.
Are you gonna cry? What is that?
I might.
Is that a personal?
I don't. Shall we move on?
Have a piece of the harvest cake. You'll feel better.
With or without eyeball?
Extra eyeball.
Let's go behind the scenes, shall we?
We shall.
Let me blow your mind. I told Aaron this before we started recording. Alison Lohman, we were in a play together back at College of the Desert.
Oh, fantastic. What play was that?
Maguire?
I was in middle school, Tobey Maguire, and Alison Lohman is from Palm Springs originally, and she, we did Romeo and Juliet. She was Juliet. I was Mercutio. So we were not the star-crossed lovers. I don't think we even have any lines together. But yeah, we were in plays together long before White Oleander. She was like 16 and I was like 20. So there you go. Good times. Knocked her socks off. This was actually the last movie that she starred in 2009.
Before
Did she,
Scientology?
She no. Yeah, because of Scientology. No, because she got married and wanted to spend time raising her children. So she hasn't really acted since. She was in White Oleander.
I don't think they were lining up after this performance.
Allison, if you're listening, no offense. So she did almost all of her own stunts in this movie, which were quite a few, actually. There's a lot of her spazzing out and bouncing around. So
it's a physical. Not
for sure.
Not Suspiria physical, but it's up there.
Definitely not Suspiria physical, that is for sure. The Gypsy's car, which was a yellow Delta 88, is the same yellow Delta 88. I used to have a
Delta 88.
Oh, there you go.
I had a 67 Delta 88.
It's the same car that appears in every single one of Sam Raimi's movies.
What? What's the story with that?
He just likes it. It was the car they had when they did The Evil Dead back in '79, and then it just became kind of a good luck charm. So it's literally been in every single movie he directed, including The Quick and the Dead, which was a Western. So
I like when they do that. That's very Stephen King.
It is
a little crossover vibe.
the curses that appear in this movie are all sorts of different languages, like Hungarian, there's like Czech. I'm not going to try to read
What?
in the original
You're
Hungarian.
not gonna wake the dead?
Not doing it. But she says, "Shall the devil fly into you?" is what she says. So that's what the curse is in Hungarian. And she uses the Hungarian word, which I'm going to butcher, saja, 2 times, which means bitch or whore in Hungarian.
Ooh.
There you
she
go.
was angry.
There's that scene during when they're meeting with the medium where all the ghostly spirits kind of walk around the room.
Mhm.
Sam Raimi, the director, was one of the spirits.
Oh.
Absolutely. This script was written after Army of Darkness in 1992, but Sam Raimi went on to do other things, including like the 3 Spider-Man movies and other sorts of things. So it wasn't until like recently, or not recently, 10 years ago, they came back to it and turned it into a movie.
Yeah.
It's a good times. The Lamia is actually a bogey woman from Greek mythology who would stalk the countryside looking for children to devour. That's what the original
Nice.
thing was. They kind of changed it to be kind of like an evil spirit kind of situation. So it was very different. They just took the name because it sounded creepy. People didn't know much about it.
Right.
So Alison Lohman watched horror movies every day to prepare for this movie. Do you think it helped?
No. Why would that help?
I guess to make her frazzled and fatigued and on edge, perhaps.
Kevin watches them every day.
That's why he has night terrors and attacks people in his sleep.
That is true. That is true. When that happens, I have to take a couple days off, watch some Community or something on Netflix instead, just to clean the palate.
Yep.
When Justin Long mentions traveling to his parents' cabin that has trees and is private, this is a reference
In Santa
to...
Barbara.
Right.
In Santa Barbara. Cabin with trees in Santa Barbara. That don't mix.
It's that wooded area of Santa Barbara. But what they're referencing is
Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
fascinating.
Of course, that was Michigan.
I know. Well, it was like Tennessee or something. So it was a long drive, evidently.
For a weekend.
I know, you're telling me. I think that's about all we need to know. Oh, Bruce Campbell was supposed to make a cameo, but he turned it down because he was busy with the TV show Burn Notice. So
I do love Bruce Campbell.
You know, one
ahead.
thing they said about the license plate, did you guys notice the license plate of the infamous car?
What did it say?
If you turned it upside down, it says is 666.
Oh, yes. Yes, I did notice that.
Yeah. And didn't when the there was the weird guy who kind of appeared at the seance that had never been seen before, who was the gal's sidekick.
Yes.
Now let me just ask you why they did what they did for this, because it made no sense to me.
Okay.
For some reason, they wanted Christine Brown, whatever her true Alison Lohman, I guess. Christine in the movie, she needed to take the medium's hand when possessed by the devil to place it on the goat,
Right.
so that the spirit would go into the goat, and then they give the saber to the man sitting furthest
Yes.
from the goat, and they say, "Here's this enormous saber. Now, when the goat is possessed, I want you to run all the way around from the other side of the table and somehow stab this goat who will be possessed by Satan."
That was the first thing in my head. I'm like, why would you seat him the furthest away of anyone else?
Did he need to be
Made
seated
no
at all?
sense.
He's
Could he
got
just
the
be standing there?
Goatnator club.
Goatnator.
That's a technical term.
That's the legal term.
The Delamia.
We didn't even talk about that scene where it's like literally like the goat's there tied to the goddamn table, and then he's like gonna chop it, but of course the goat just moves its head, so it's like, oh damn! I freed the devil goat.
Yeah,
Now
I know,
the devil goat's
all
free.
Psych.
I did love when the devil goat called. I wrote it down. What did the devil goat call her?
I'm like a whore or
Oh,
something.
yeah, devil goat went nuts and looked right at old Christine. And God, I wrote it down somewhere. Oh, you dirty pork queen! He yelled right at her. It made me so happy.
You dirty pork queen. I'm going to use that sometime.
Use it at work tomorrow. See if you can fit it
Yeah,
in.
exactly. At the next staff meeting, I'll drop that in the casual conversation.
Just whisper it in the ear of the person next to you.
They'll love it.
Yeah.
It's all good
Because there's
time.
nothing worse than calling a girl a dirty pork queen by Satan.
Best
Thank you, Satan.
Shame.
You're so sassy.
Shall we talk about the cast?
I thought we did.
Well, directed by Sam Raimi.
Whoop, whoop.
You know him because he did the Spider-Man movies from the early 2000s with
Which I
Tobey
never
Maguire.
saw.
It all comes back together.
It all comes back to Kevin.
That's as it always should. He also did The Evil Dead, Army
Yeah.
of Darkness, Darkman, a bunch of things.
He did a simple plan,
Simple
which
Plan.
I really enjoyed.
Absolutely.
Oh, those things where everything just spirals out of control. It always gives me such anxiety.
Oh, Bill Paxton and Billy Bob Thornton.
R.I.P.
great
I
movie.
didn't know he did that. That's
Yep.
Yeah.
fascinating. I thought it was a Coen brother situation.
Well, they're very close.
They
to
may
the
have
Coen
written
brothers.
it,
They're very.
but I think this guy directed it, didn't he?
I believe.
Or
you're
did he
right.
write a simple plan as well?
I think he did it all.
He did it all. I don't know. That was a really good movie, though.
Yeah. it was.
Let's see. Alison Lohman played Christine Brown. You know her from Drag Me to Hell, White Oleander, Matchstick Men, and Big Fish. She had a couple years there where she was in quite a bit.
I actually liked White Oleander quite a bit.
I
It was a
did
good
too.
book.
I didn't like Big Fish though.
Justin Long played Clay Dalton, which is a ridiculous name. You know him from Live Free or Die Hard, Jeepers Creepers, which is another movie we might have to do at some point. He was in
Oh,
Galaxy
wow.
Quest, if you haven't seen that. He was in Accepted. You know that, don't you? No.
No.
Nope.
Anybody else we want to talk about? David Paymer played Mr. Jax, her boss.
I like him. He's funny.
You know him from State and
He wa-
Maine, Get Shorty, The American President, In Good Company, Mr. Saturday Night, I think.
He was also in what was it? It's not called Game Show. Oh,
Quiz
shoot,
Show.
the one Robert Quiz Show.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in Quiz Show. He was good in that.
I think that's about it. Well,
Uh,
let's
uh,
talk about Mrs. Ganush.
Wait a minute. Simple Plan, just to go back to that, directed by Sam Raimi, written by Scott Smith, based on his novel.
Oh, well, there you
Ah.
go. There you go. Lorna Raver played the gypsy woman.
I bet she was like 40.
No, she's older than that. Drag Me to Hell, something called Armored, Freeway, and she was on NYPD Blue for a little while there. So there you go. I think that's all we need to know about that. Shall we talk about the ratings? About 2 months ago, we were like, you know what? Each week we're going to introduce Rex Reed's rating. And we did it one time, and then we were never able to find another rating that he ever did. He
But
did
wait.
review, but wait, there's more. He did review Drag Me to Hell. And
Let's hear it, brother.
the title of the review is, What Has Happened to Sam Raimi? And it says, the true test of any successful horror flick is how wretched it makes you feel. Really? That's what it is? At the very least, it should inspire a banquet of dread or offer a canopy of anxiety. After Drag Me to Hell, you won't mind walking home alone. You might even welcome a dark, deserted alley. Oh, good Lord. Sweet Jesus. Anyway, he was not a fan. Let's just leave it at that. Let me go. What has happened?
Oh, also, the old gypsy lady, you're right. She was like 68 when that movie was made.
Wow, that's impressive.
Because it was like 10 years ago, right?
About 12 years ago.
All right, so she was born in 43.
Yep. Drag Me to Hell currently has a 92% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
Hells yes. Hells
And I got to
yes.
tell you, I normally Not always, but I trust Rotten Tomato ratings, and I was excited when I saw that rating. Uh, for the life of me, I don't know how the hell Sam Raimi is sleeping with the head of Rotten Tomatoes. If what's her name, Alison Lohman, is secretly the head of Rotten Tomatoes.
What's happening?
Yeah, no.
Well,
I mean,
do you know what's interesting is that the audience score is only 62%.
that's a little bit more accurate. It's just light on story, in my opinion.
Oh my lord! It is a rollicking roller
Misleading.
coaster.
The title's misleading. I need more dragging to hell. Literal dragging to hell.
I literally see you talking, but your words make no sense. I think there's something going on. Perhaps
Roger
you're
Ebert.
I'm having a hallucination right
You,
now.
you might be. Is there an
I
eyeball?
saw a dragonfly come out of your nostril.
A dragonfly. Roger Ebert gave it 3 out of 4. He said, Drag Me to Hell is sometimes funny and often startling horror movie. That is what it wants to be, and that is what it is.
Boom.
Nicely done.
Well, somebody said it was released at the Cannes Film Festival to like rave reviews.
Obviously, I was there, raving and reviewing.
You're ranting and raving. Aaron, what is your review? What do you got?
I'm giving it 4.25 hacked up flies flying across your mother's Thanksgiving dinner table. Boom!
Tara, what you got?
Oh God, I'm giving it 1 eyeball with a sty out of a possible 10.
Oh, damn!
That's a crime.
Honestly, I found it inoffensive, but at the same time, not particularly inspired, in my opinion.
Agreed.
I give it. No, I'm losing my mind. I give it 3 out of 5. Corpse vomiting in your mouth while you're molesting the corpse at a gypsy party.
At a gypsy wake.
At a gypsy wake. It was fine, but like I said, I just felt it was a vehicle for vomit and goo in your mouth and sucking on somebody's chin. It's just weird kind of, let me go back and hit this 15 times. I found it vaguely repetitive.
I thought it was just like a roller coaster. I just thought it was fun. There's no deep reading into it. I just thought it was like a fun thing.
You know, one thing I do respect about it, now that we're talking, one thing that I respected about it was that usually in a lot of these shows, there's always this redemption and, some sort of, turnaround at the end. The star gets saved and, they're blah, blah, blah. And then maybe a corpse stumbles out at the end to kind of make you think there may be a sequel. But this one, oh, hell no. No escaping the fate. Screw you.
Yep.
And, you're not getting out of this one, lady.
Yeah.
Well, they tried to trick you and make you think all's good because she's engaged. The boss just called. You're getting the big promotion, and Stu is getting dragged to prison, if not to hell. It's all good, and that's when he realizes, hey, I found your envelope with your button in it, and it's so.
Yeah, as soon as he started saying, "Oh, I liked your old jacket,"
the one with
you're
the
like,
rotten button. The one with the cursed button on it.
Well, I mean, you could just sew this old button onto your new beautiful coat. No.
All it is, it's Catholic guilt. Once all these good things start happening, there's a shoe about to drop.
I guess that's true. I mean, why? Otherwise, you wouldn't have this long old kind of, closure at the end. It's like, who gives a damn? We don't need that, right?
Well, and we never even discussed the poltergeist swimming pool revisiting where she's digging up the old corpse and she's swimming in stew water with the gypsy head snapping at her.
That is correct.
And how she dug down 6 feet by 8 feet in a matter of an hour, with no shovel. I guess there was just a shovel leaning up against the old tombstone when she got there.
She has zero muscle on those toothpick arms, so that's just an incredible feat of strength.
And I mean, no
Mm.
question. She is literally bathing in the swamp pool where it's like a giant tea bag, but it's a corpse. Is what the
Yes.
very
It's the
upsetting.
marshmallow in your hot cocoa, except the marshmallow's a rotting gypsy corpse.
That is correct.
Yep.
That is
And then I thought that it was going to be over when the cross just fell on her head, but
was
apparently
crushed.
not.
Look, I saw Creep Show where the dude,
Yes.
the thing falls on the dude and that's squished like a grape.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not in this case, evidently. Very sad.
No. She was getting thrown up against walls and just shaking it off like it was, clearly she's a superhuman.
She's
Not
an
a big
X-Men.
deal.
No.
Now she's
No
an X-Men in
bruises.
hell.
So, thank you very much. Go to our page on Twitter at TPodcastTWDie. Go to our page on Facebook at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die. Aaron, are we on Instagram? What is happening?
We're on the Insta or the Gram, whatever you'd like to call it today. Elon Musk hasn't bought it yet, but it is in fact called The Podcast That Wouldn't Die.
You can also email us at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die at Gmail. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review, if you will.
If you will.
Aaron, are you on social media anywhere?
I got so much media. I got media and then I got media. I got the Twitsker, where I am the Cult of Aaron. I got the Gram, where I am the Cult of Aaron. I got the Gram where I'm also Don't Feed the Pigeon. Then I got a little something called First Dibs, and what the hell is the other thing called?
Parlay,
Not Parlay.
True
RT,
Social.
Aaron Doherty, by Boy Moy
Tinder.
Ort.
That's a lot. Tara, do you want to share any of your social media, or are you just like, don't look at me, don't contact me?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not answering.
Do not.
The
Do
lights
not.
are on, but you're not home.
Next week, we'll be discussing the time-traveling adventure, Time After Time, starring Malcolm McDowell, Mary Steenburgen, David Warner, and all the rest. So check that out.
Isn't Time After Time the one with Superman?
Malcolm McDowell, Fred, and Mary Steenburgen. And
Oh, okay. I'm confusing that one
no, it's
with the one. You know which one I'm talking
I
about?
don't know what the
Somewhere
hell
in
you're talking
Time.
about.
Christopher Reeve, Somewhere in Time.
Yeah, with
It's
Jane
like
Seymour.
that, but not.
Jane C. Oh, that's so romantic. You should do that one.
Well, this is romantic too, but you also have David Warner from The Omen and Tron trying to F you up.
There you go.
So there's that. Whereas Somewhere in Time just has crazy old Christopher Reeve with like coins in his pocket going, damn, I shouldn't have looked at that coin.
But
Is that a
both
gun in my pocket?
time-traveling.
Hey, there was a coin in the Gypsy movie too.
Are you
That's what
sure
I'm
it's a
saying.
coin and not a button?
It could be.
Mhm.
Who's to say? Who's to say?
Crossover.
That's right.
Crossover.
I have seen Somewhere in Time, but it's been 100 years since I've seen it, at
Yeah.
least.
I'm going for a
least.
pass, hard pass.
So you can watch Time After Time nowhere for free. I'm
Ugh,
sorry to tell
son
you
of a
this.
bitch.
You can drop $3.99 at Prime Video on Amazon. If that-
Damn
that-
you, Jeff Bezos! You blood-sucking bastard.
Will these affronts never cease? Sweet Jesus. So
Bad
check
touch.
that out.
Bad touch.
It's a bad.
Kevin, I honestly think you should rate your movies on how many baby Jesuses.
This,
I give it 10 sweet Jesuses.
10 sweet Jesus.
Or is it
followed by
Jesus?
5 F-bombs.
it's plural.
How do you say Jesus multiple?
Jesu.
Jesuses?
Jesu
Jesus?
Christu.
Hey,
Yes.
see?
Honestly, and ladies and gentlemen, it is a drinking game. It's like if you listen to this podcast, get a big jug of wild turkey, just like Gary Busey did in Silver Bullet, and enjoy. Every time I say "Sweet Jesus," just you know what? Don't just start drinking. Just drink it
Yep.
and don't stop drinking, and you're probably in good shape.
Drink in anticipation.
Or when Aaron does an F-bomb.
Or,
Boom.
or says something inappropriate that makes us all uncomfortable.
It's a
Yes.
Boom.
boom.
Hashtag boom. I think so. Tara, thank you very much for coming on. I hope you had a good time.
Yes,
I had a
Brad,
great
thank
time.
you.
Thanks for having me. This movie stinks.
Oh.
Invite me back for a better movie.
Anytime, any place.
No
Good
such
time.
thing. No
And now
such
that you have
thing.
Google Chrome, we're in business. Good Lord. So thank you very much and be well.
Later.